Oh boy, here we go. We haven't even made it to training camp yet. We already have drama in the NFL and fantasy football circles. What do we do with the Quinshon Judkins situation? What does that mean for Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford? And what do we do with the fact that 30 of 32 second-round picks in this year's NFL draft are holding out? There's a lot of key fantasy players in that little bucket. What the heck do we do with those guys? We're going to dive into that and draft the best ball team here on Spike Week. Let's do it. Good morning, GM. As Jason and Mac say, if you are watching this live, thank you for your patience this morning. No one cares. Absolutely no one cares about this, which makes it the perfect podcast or stream intro. I learned this morning that StreamYard is having difficulties with Google Chrome. That's what I learned this morning. So if you like to use StreamYard or Google Chrome, there you go. There's your non-fantasy football tip of the morning. The tip that I want to get to in fantasy football circles today is, of course, as you heard in the intro and as you see on the thumbnail, we got to get into this Quinshon Judkins situation. I actually wrote a piece about it yesterday because while Judkins himself and like the Browns backfield situation or any individual second round rookie pick, or even really the whole entire cohort of second round picks, 30, obviously Jayden Higgins has signed, so he is not included in this second round pick conversation. It's a big deal. Training camp is about to start kicking off across the NFL, and we really do need to understand or at least have an idea of what this might mean. By the time this show is over, they could all have signed. And, someone crosses the picket line, the owners cave. I don't know, right? This could be a totally useless conversation. However, there's a different level of risk now to a substantial and really important cohort of the player pool, especially if you believe in rookies overall. But this particular rookie class, this particular second round rookie class is really powerful. So I think we need to address what this might mean and how we might want to react. First, I want to note that we're doing a fun new little giveaway here at Spike Week. As you see on your screen now, every Friday, I go live at this time. Well, at 10 a.m. Eastern, I go live to draft some best ball teams every Friday morning. And oftentimes, we're drafting over on drafters.com, our good friends over at Drafters, and they have graced us with the pleasure of giving away some free tickets. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of me kind of sort of haphazardly giving away free tickets over the course of the summer, for every video that you leave a comment on, you will be entered every Friday. And every Friday, I will give away 3 free tickets into the Drafters main event. So live on air on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern, I'm going to give away 3 tickets. How do you get entered to win those tickets? They are $20, right? It is a $500,000 first prize into the Drafters main event. If you would like to be entered, all you have to do, any Spike Week video from here on forward, you leave a comment and you'll be entered, and I will give those away every single Friday morning. So there you go. Enough housekeeping. Speaking of housekeeping, Jim says, when's a college football stream coming? Pretty soon, actually. I'm very excited for college football. I'm very excited for NBA. I'm hoping today to be able to grind through the rest of those rankings. I just got bye weeks and playoff schedules and all that kind of stuff finalized for college. Live comments do not count, unfortunately. It's a great question. Why Dad says, do live comments count? No, unfortunately, so once the video is posted, leave one of your comments. I don't care. You can make fun of me. You can leave an insightful comment. You can leave an engagement farming comment. I don't particularly care. That is how this will work. But let's dive into the the meat and potatoes of this situation. And let's actually start with these second round rookies, because it's a very, very serious, very, very serious big deal that we have going on here. And let me go to of course I switch browsers, and it has me with some issues of sharing my screen naturally. So now you get to really see how the sausage gets made. Let's see. All right. So we're going to start with the second round rookie. My comment, Sizzle's already got his comment loaded up that it's Erik's fault that I drafted 70% Will Shipley. That's a fact. I will own that one for sure. I think it's difficult to wrap your heads around what's going on in the NFL right now with these second round picks. And of course, why we're starting with the second round picks is because Quinshon Judkins is a story unto himself, and a different story. We even got a little bit more news on the Judkins situation this morning. But he also, the biggest reason actually why Judkins is like an issue is because he is a second round pick. He's a second round pick who has made a catastrophic mistake, but he is a second round pick nonetheless. And what is going on, if you are not, I don't expect everybody to be following necessarily all the chaos that is happening with these second round picks. However, the issue is that let's take a step back. Every single, for the history of the NFL, the second round rookies, right? We now have a rookie wage scale. That was not always the case before. Since the advent of the rookie wage scale, meaning you kind of know based on where you get drafted, right? You're the fourth pick of the second round. You generally know what you're going to make. There's little things that you can negotiate, guarantees and bonuses and those kinds of things. But generally speaking, based upon where you get drafted, that's what your contract is going to be. And there's really not a lot that the players can do. You might say, well, that's a fucked up situation because a lot of these guys end up being a lot more worth it than where they get drafted to. However, what's happening right now is two NFL teams with two second round picks. I'm going to screw up the Browns did this second actually, but this is also relevant to the Quinshon Judkins situation. The Browns with an inside linebacker, Schwesinger, I believe is his last name, and the Houston Texans with Jayden Higgins. Obviously, Jayden Higgins is important to this conversation because we're drafting him. Second round rookie wide receiver out of Iowa State. Higgins first with the Texans signed a fully guaranteed contract. Why does that matter? Because the second round picks in the rookie wage scale have not had fully guaranteed contracts. They're like mostly guaranteed, but not entirely guaranteed. And so it's a big deal, right? With unions, with CBAs, with the wage scale, with all of that different stuff. The fact that someone did something unprecedented, one team and one player got something unprecedented. You now have other players, and specifically the other agents, right? The agents of the players saying, the Texans just gave Higgins a fully guaranteed contract. I'm going to go get that now for my client. That happened with the Browns second round pick. And those two are the only two second round picks that have signed. Let's see. Max says, the Texans are the cause of a lot of these rookie holdouts. All these other rookies saw what Higgins got. And here's what I'll say. Good. Pardon my language, but fuck the owners. These guys are playing football. Every other sport, baseball. Now, baseball has its own issues with arbitration and the minor leagues and such. But the NBA, basketball, right, these other leagues, they're fully guaranteed contracts. If you sign an NBA contract and you lose your leg on the court in the next game, you get all your money. Now, the teams can take out insurance policies, blah, blah, right? We don't got to get into all that. But every other sport has fully guaranteed contracts. The NFL, which is modern day version of Gladiator, these guys go out, they play the riskiest sport, they have the shortest careers, they have serious health issues after their career is over. They don't get fully guaranteed contracts. So, which is ridiculous. So the fact that they don't, you're not going to hear me say a positive thing about the owners and all that kind of stuff. They don't deserve, like, the fact that there is even a battle over this is kind of crazy, but nonetheless there is, right? Because we know that the owners are greedy and they don't want to give an inch to the players. They want to have power over these players. So 2 teams kind of relinquished some of that power. It's small. Like I said, their contracts are mostly guaranteed, and now 2 guys got fully guaranteed contracts. Basically, that 4th year, you sign a 4-year contract as a second-round pick generally. And so that 4th year is now fully guaranteed for Jayden Higgins and whatever Carson Schwezinger. I forget what his first name is. And of course, Firefox is giving me some issues now. Shout out to technology this morning. So 2 guys got fully guaranteed contracts. That leaves 30 other second-round picks that are now sitting there, and their agents are going to their teams and saying, you see what the precedent is now, right? Once a precedent gets set in these situations, a lot of the times everybody kind of has to fall in line. And so those other owners, GMs, et cetera, are pushing back on that, saying, no, we don't do it that way, right? So Tyler Shuck, Trey Harris, some other second-round picks have come out and been like kind of vocal about they're going to hold out until they get the fully guaranteed contracts that these other guys have also gotten. And so we're kind of at a stalemate here amongst these 30 other second-round picks, which of course we'll get to Quinshon Judkins here in a minute. The problem is that what happens with rookies, right? Why does this matter? Like, eventually they're going to sign. I don't think anyone is going to sit here and tell you that, no big deal. These guys are I don't think anybody's going to tell you, like, this is a huge deal. These guys are never going to play football. They're going to go sign up to play in the XFL, whatever. This is all going to get resolved. But from our standpoint, for 2025 fantasy football, for 2025 best ball drafts, we need rookies getting practice reps. If someone like Trey Harris, if someone like Luther Burden, who was also injured during minicamp and OTAs, right? Luther Burden hasn't practiced with the Chicago Bears. And he needs to beat out other talented players to not just get on the field, but to earn targets. This isn't a video game. You don't just show up to an NFL football game and just go do all the stuff, right? Because somebody behind the sticks called the play and you automatically run your route, or you automatically do the right thing. You have to learn playbooks. You have to learn how teams teach footwork. You have to learn terminology. You have to learn to be on the same page with your teammates. You got to learn how to read and react on the fly, right? For receivers, you have option routes and reading coverages and blocking and all this different stuff that if you don't practice, like, you have to be able to show up to week 1 and play full speed without thinking. And if you don't do it, right? It's like any of us, if we show up to our job and we're starting a new job and there's no training and there's no, it's still football, right? So you are an HR rep and you're still doing HR, but the new company that you work for has different policies. They use different software. They use different terminology. The org chart is different, right? Who you report to is different. Who you take orders from, when your meetings are different. All of this stuff is different. There's no possible way that you could be at the absolute best of your capabilities, even though you're still a talented HR rep, on day 1, on day 2, on day 30, right? It's going to take time. You need the reps. Everyone needs the reps and the experience to play at a certain level. And no one needs it more than a rookie. We know that these guys are talented. We've been drafting them. But no one needs this stuff more than a rookie, because again, we're drafting for this year. This isn't we don't get to keep Trey Harris on our team next season and say, oh, shucks, I still believe Trey Harris is going to be good, but this year he missed most of camp. So, Quentin Johnston just was always the wide receiver 2 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Those are really, really valuable reps for these players. So we need them to get into camp. I imagine that they are going to get this resolved reasonably quickly, but there's a level of risk now of these guys. Sizzle says, I think all contracts should be guaranteed. I agree. But there's a level of risk now that has been introduced into this. Again, this is only for those 30 second-round picks, of which there are only a small subset of players that we draft. But they're really important players, right? Specifically, TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey, Trey Harris, Luther Burden, Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, Terrence Ferguson, Quinshon Judkins. Those names might seem important because they are. We probably talk about them a lot. We probably draft them a lot. And these guys now have a level of risk that was just when 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, when we were drafting these guys, the assumption was, of course, they're going to be at training camp. Like, of course, because all rookies sign their contracts because there's no real negotiation anymore. And now we just got introduced with new information. So for 2025 fantasy, for right now, what do? So I think it would be lazy and stubborn to just put our head in the sand and say they'll figure it out. It's fine, right? They'll figure it out, because every day is a missed rep. Every day is a missed practice. Every day is a missed opportunity for these players to get up to speed. And then the level of risk that has been introduced now did not exist before. When does this get resolved? I don't know. Tyler Shuck, of course, the other second-round pick. Is Tyler Shuck going to be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints now? Or does Spencer Rattler take the job and run with it during camp? Is Trey Harris going to be out there as much as we hope for? At any point this season? Maybe. But there's, again, a level of risk that has been introduced. And you may say, well, it's only going to matter for week 1, right? Or week 1 through 5. And who cares? Week 17 is all that matters. That part may be true. The problem for rookies is that once you get to the season, you need to kind of have all the development stuff mostly done before the season then becomes getting you're developing in real time on the field, but teams are trying to win. If Trey Harris isn't ready to play, the NFL team is not going to put him out there. And then, okay, they say, well, he's getting better in practice. Let's start ramping him up a little bit. But you just don't, you can't during the season do the level of teaching that you do over the course of the offseason, because it's game prep time, right? Every single hour of our time during the week, during the season, has to be dedicated to prepping for the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't fuck around on Tuesday at practice and be like, all right, we're going to get Trey up to speed because we play Patrick Mahomes and the 2-time Super Bowl, 3 times in a row going to the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs. You have to use your time on trying to win football games. And so it becomes more difficult as you see. I'm not comparing these players to Roman Wilson last year, but he had a similar situation in a very different path. Roman Wilson got injured over the course of the summer. And anybody remember Roman Wilson last year? Did you ever see him? No, he got back healthy and there was just no way to get up to speed. You can't just insert these guys into the lineup and they're not getting enough reps during the week to become the player that we hope that they can be. And so there's just a level of risk now that has been introduced with all these second round picks where I think we need to be cautious. I'm in I would call myself, what I'm doing is being in a little bit of a holding pattern. And you guys know that I love Trey Harris. You guys know the Triple H, the Harvey Henderson. Of course, Hampton does not count because he was a first round pick. You guys know, Luther Burden. Yeah, I like these guys. Maybe you like Tyler Shuck because you're a big 3 quarterback guy, and we got to lock in Tyler Shuck's guaranteed starts, right? He's a guaranteed starter. Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. .gif. There's just a level of risk that's been introduced to these guys that I think right now was really, really important to bring up. And so I'm bumping these guys down a little bit in the rankings. I'm astronomically high on Trey Harris, of course, as you got, and Henderson and Harvey. And I'm gonna bump these guys down a little bit, but it's hard to describe how unprecedented this situation is, because it is truly unprecedented. We've never had this kind of the owners kind of united together to screw over they colluded behind the scenes to screw over the players with the non-guarantees, and now the players and their agents are standing up because two of their brothers got these fully guaranteed deals. And so I think it's easy to dismiss it as we've seen the contract stuff, right? Eventually they get paid. And that's true, but this one's different. And I think it's important to note that it's very different. And again, it's very different in that really important cohort of players, and specifically one where myself have been touting all summer. And it would be disingenuous of me to just not address the fact that three of my highest owned players, three of my favorite players to draft, TreVeyon, Henderson, RJ Harvey, and Trey Harris, are now in a little bit of a different situation. One note I think that is important to bring up is I'm less concerned about the running backs. Running back is an inherently easier position to learn. Harvey and Henderson did participate in minicamp and OTAs, and it's just not as nuanced of a position in terms of the things you need to learn on the football field. It was already sort of assumed that those guys would be, sharing work with their backfield mate, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, in those two guys' instances. So, do we really care for the running back specifically? We see running backs, get signed mid-season, show up to a team, and kind of still be solid, because running back is a little bit of a different position. But the wide receiver, tight end, and obviously quarterback with Shuck is a pretty big deal. There's a lot more learning. There's a lot more things that go into playing that position. There's only so much in terms of running back. Pass pro would be probably one of the biggest issues for those guys, because it's a little more nuanced than every team does it a little bit differently. But the wide receivers, tight ends, and Tyler Shuck are definitely the guys inheriting a lot more risk than these other guys. They were also naturally the guys that we were already a little bit more worried about, right? Luther Burden, he's kind of going to be a slot only guy. He's got DJ Moore and Rome already out there. It sounds like Colston Loveland is going to be fine for training camp. They got Cole Kmet. How Burden's going to have to impress to even have a real role, and then have a really fantasy, high upside fantasy role. So that becomes a little bit tricky. He also is the biggest concern, Luther Burden, with the fact that he hasn't done anything with the Bears. So he has an extra level of risk. At least these other guys got into rookie camp, got into OTAs, mini camp, etc., and did get out there with the team. Many of them flashed, right? Teams are excited for these guys, all that kind of stuff. Burden is a little bit trickier. The tight ends, also a little bit trickier. As you know, tight end is kind of a half lineman, half receiver position. So you do have to learn. You have to learn blocking schemes. You have to get on the same page with offensive linemen, and you have to get on the same page with quarterbacks. You have to be able to read and react and do all the same stuff we talked about with the wide receivers. So the tight ends are pretty concerning. Naturally, historically, we know rookie tight ends have been a little bit tricky to be relevant for fantasy. These superstars of late have sort of bucked that trend. But there's also plenty of rookies. I love Trey McBride. Trey McBride didn't go scorched earth as a rookie. And these guys are second round picks, which of course Trey McBride was at the top of the second round. But these guys are second round picks. They're not as guaranteed. There's no reason they have to play. So the tight ends are very scary. Terrence Ferguson has Tyler Higbee there already. Mason Taylor only has Jeremy Ruckert, but it's not nothing. Elijah Arroyo still currently has Noah Fant there. With that, they all have vets that the teams do not have to play, these rookies. And so it's a great question from Walter. What if we just keep taking them and prioritize some chaperones with our other picks? The problem is, what has been introduced is you may be chaperoning by yourself with no children at a certain point. Like, that level of risk is now a thing. Yeah, Ertz loves keeping a rookie on the bench. It's like, yeah, he has to drink the blood of the rookie that gets drafted next to him. That's what Zach Ertz does. Dallas Goedert, Trey McBride, Ben Sinnott. That's what Zach Ertz does. He ruins all the fun, at least for us, and that's how he continues to keep the fountain of youth going. And you can definitely do what Walter is talking about here. But you were already probably taking chaperones. Now are you going to take more? You're going to take more low upside guys surrounding these players. It's a delicate balance. I don't think that we should ignore these guys, but I also do think they're going to fall. So I think continuing to take them, but being smart about how you do it, whether that is, attaching Wan'Dale Robinson, notably a fun meme for me from last week, or someone like that, Javonte Williams. What I like to do with TreVeyon and Harvey specifically is just take the other guy in their backfield. Ramondre, specifically Dobbins. Like, Harvey Dobbins is something I do quite a bit, actually. So I think that's a way with the running backs to do it. I'm not sure there is a way with the tight ends. Like, the tight ends are what the tight ends are. I think you're just accepting an exorbitant amount of risk now with the tight ends, which is fine if you like those guys. I don't particularly like those second-round tight ends, so that's not a big deal for me. Shout out Harold Fannin is a third-round pick, so we don't have to worry about that. And Kyle says Higgins has already signed, right? Yes. So Jayden Higgins is excluded from this conversation. He's good to go. So we don't have to worry about Jayden Higgins. Let's see here. Let me pull up my screen. Oops, wrong. Pull up my screen here. And let's get into the Quinshon Judkins thing. If you have any questions about those guys, please, by all means, bring up any specific questions, bring up the chaperone things. I'm just being cautious because you're already to the chaperone point. And so for anybody that is new here and you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about chaperones? You guys all probably are aware, but there's maybe a couple people who don't. A user, I believe it was on our good friends over at the Ship Chasing YouTube channel, Artillery Frost. It could have been on a different channel, and I apologize, but the fella's name is Artillery Frost on YouTube, and came up with the phrase for exactly what we're talking about here. A player who maybe we don't love, like their upside is not great. We're not like super jazzed to draft these guys. They're like kind of boring floor type options. Wan'Dale Robinson, Adam Thielen, those types of players. But they can have a level of helpfulness to our teams, specifically when we draft the way that we do. Yep, rookies, young players, theoretically waiting, not like waiting for an appointment, like waiting, backloading production, hopefully trying to target players who are peaking at the end of the season, getting them through, right? He coined the phrase a chaperone. So that's what that guy is like oh boy, I drafted 3 rookie wide receivers. Maybe I need Wan'Dale to help me out in the beginning of the season. The problem with the chaperone is I don't want to overdo it. And that's a situation like we have here. I don't want to like have a bunch of chaperones on my team, because now like my team inherently, I only get to draft 18 guys on Underdog, and it's half PPR. A chaperone getting 5 points, it's not great. It's not really that helpful. And that's not even a touchdown. I'd rather just pray to the touchdown gods in half PPR. And I only get 18 spots. A lot of people love to draft 3 quarterbacks, and they love to draft 3 tight ends. And now I'm going to draft 3 chaperones as well. That's half my team is gone. And I still need to have a bunch of upside in the fantasy playoffs. So it's a very delicate Very, very delicate balance. So Chaperone does not equal handcuff. Sizzle asked, does Chaperone equal handcuff? But I think uniquely like relevant to this situation is I do think you can do that. How like you're probably thinking, don't you still want to draft, like, especially at cheaper prices? TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey, Trey Harris, Luther Burden. Yeah, I do actually. So I think the air quotes handcuff to that player can be a really powerful tool. Take Dobbins with your RJ Harvey. Take Ramondre with your TreVeyon Henderson. Or the opposite. You took RJ Harvey, take Ramondre Stevenson. Right? Maybe Harvey isn't impacted, but TreVeyon is. Now you got Ramondre helping out, right? Maybe you get outsized gains with Ramondre, right? Or you draft TreVeyon and then you draft J.K. Dobbins with that guy. When it comes to the receivers, it's a little bit trickier, but what I would say, let's take Burden as an example. I think DJ Moore and Rome Odunze would be solid play. Not so much Loveland because he's a rookie himself, albeit a rookie who will be at camp. But, you know, the guy who could most directly benefit from a slower start than we hoped from that rookie, Quinton Johnston, QJ, with Trey Harris seems pretty good. If you really do like Terrence Ferguson, taking Tyler Higbee with right kind of 3 cheap tight ends, take both Rams guys, let Higbee pass the baton to Terrence Ferguson. Later in the season, Edward says Harvey with Dobbins has been one of my favorite pairings. I've been doing it as well, like before this. So I'm with you. I actually think it's just a straight up good way to pair teams. So that's how I'm thinking about counteracting that. I think you could do this in any, by the way, you have your home league, your dynasty league draft, whatever. I think you can do the same thing. But in best ball, that's kind of how I'm thinking about it right now. Benny says, I'm out of control in Wandale and PPR. I need someone to take the wheel. Jesus ain't even going to take that wheel. Somebody else is going to take that wheel. Before we dive into Judkins, Mac asks where we're going to draft Underdog. I was going to draft BBM because I'm trying to keep going BBM. But if you guys have something else you would like to draft on Underdog, not rookies and sophomores, I'm not doing that shit. But I'll draft something else if you guys would prefer. But my plan was to draft a BBM team. I've got 50 done, and I'm trying to just keep pace as best as I can. But let's talk Judkins really quick, and then we'll hop into a draft because we're 30 minutes in and we haven't talked about the main guy. But I thought the second round thing was really important because, as you know, Quinshon Judkins himself is a second round pick. So what do we do with this dude, right? Let's quickly recap what the hell happened to Quinshon Judkins. So first of all, he's currently does not have a contract with the Cleveland Browns. One thing I will also note, just because I'll forget it if I don't say it right now, there was a report this morning that the Browns are, I believe the quote was, in no rush. I'm using air quotes for the audio listeners. In no rush to get Quinshon Judkins under contract. That's not great. Training camp is starting now. I believe the Chargers, whoever plays in that very first preseason game, I believe they reported yesterday or / today. Another scary thing for Trey Harris. But Judkins is unsigned, like all of these. He's one of those 30 second-round picks. And unfortunately for all parties involved, was arrested for misdemeanor domestic violence. I'm not going to get into, I don't think this is the platform to dive into any specifics about what happened, about how the legal part of all that could play out. I don't think there's any benefit to any of us to discussing that, but we can discuss the facts. That happened. He was arrested for misdemeanor domestic violence while right before training camp, and he has not been signed because he is in that bucket. What's crazy is that the Browns, there's like truly many crazy things that have happened with this whole situation. But the Browns, his potential future employer, were one of the two teams, right? The Texans with Jayden Higgins and the Browns with Schwezinger. They were one of the two teams that gave a fully guaranteed contract to their second round pick. Judkins was probably one of the best bets to get a fully guaranteed contract and be escaped from this whole issue. But then he went and made a clearly terrible mistake or possible terrible mistake, and is now like at the back of the line probably for getting a contract amongst all of those second round picks. And even if reporting from not Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, and other NFL quote unquote experts, whatever we want to call them, have also reported, as you see the third bullet on your screen, when or if he does sign a contract with the Browns, there's precedent that the NFL could put him on paid leave, essentially, is what it would be, pending the sorting out of his case. That doesn't always happen, right? Rashee Rice did not get placed on there, but they have treated domestic violence a little bit differently. And it specifically happened to last year. The parallels are wild. Last year, Judkins, he wasn't teammates with him, but what is the guy's name? Mike Hall. The Browns drafted defensive lineman Mike Hall, also from Ohio State, which is where Quinshon Judkins just came from, in the second round. Mike Hall also was arrested for domestic violence, and it was in August, I believe. And within 2 weeks of being arrested, he was placed on paid leave. Mike Hall was, and then he pled no contest to his charges. He was suspended for 5 games. So that dude was charged with something similar to what Judkins was placed on paid leave, and was then suspended 5 games because he pled no contest to it. Is that how the Judkins thing is going to play out? I have no idea. But you're seeing the level of risk that is here now with Quinshon Judkins. Now let's add the fact that the Cleveland Browns, his potential future employer, also drafted another rookie running back in the 4th round of this year's NFL draft, Dylan Sampson. They also brought back veteran. Granted, they forced him to take a pay cut, Jerome Ford. They have 2 guys who can carry the work in the Cleveland Browns backfield. So you put all of this together, and like, buddy, this ain't good for Quinshon Judkins. It may all work itself out, right? He may be innocent, and that would be unfortunate, and he has to wait with the second round picks eventually do get signed, and all this stuff sorts itself out. But then we go back to the stuff we talked about with the rookies. Now he's behind. Sampson's been at camp the whole time. They know what they got in Jerome Ford. They trust him. And maybe Dylan Sampson runs away with the job, and Judkins ain't getting it back this year, without an injury. And it's like, there's a lot of downside to Quinshon Judkins right now. And the upside is what exactly? The lead committee back on the Cleveland Browns is the upside. I bumped down Quinshon Judkins a substantial margin in the rankings. It's possible I move him down even further because I have not adjusted for the we're in no rush, air quotes, thing that is coming out of Browns camp. I'm terrified of what this all means for Quinshon Judkins. He's definitely going to fall, and I'm not particularly interested in catching a falling knife here with him. What I am interested in doing is drafting Dylan Sampson until my hands bleed, until he gets to a point where I think he's priced probably where he should be, which is in the one. I'm not even sure. I don't even have a perfect efficient price for Dylan Sampson. I know that his ADP is in the 170s, and I know that that's too low. Dylan Sampson was already probably a good pick. He was already probably underpriced. He's a 4th round rookie, talented one. SEC Offensive Player of the Year last year. Carried a horrific Tennessee offense to the college football playoff. Now, they got curb stomped by Ohio State and Quinshon Judkins in the college football playoff. But Dylan Sampson is a very talented player in his own right. He's a 4th round pick. Cam Scatterbo goes at pick 100, basically, and was a 4th round pick also on a bad offense, also next to Tyrone Tracy, has a committee mate with him. But we're excited about that player. The Dylan Sampson thing was always very interesting because it's assumed that Quinshon Judkins is just the man in the backfield and Sampson's like maybe getting some scraps. It's possible that was correct, but we have a lot more new information now. If Dylan Sampson, when Browns camp starts and he shows up and he takes this job, he is one of the only late round running back who does not need an injury, who does not need chaos. He may not need anything to just be the week 1 starter on his team. Now it's the Browns, so it's not awesome. But the path has, the doors have opened. All he's got to do is walk through it now. And Judkins will be back, most likely. Judkins will play football for the Cleveland Browns this year. But can Dylan Sampson take it and run with it and like turn Judkins into the committee back and he's the man? Absolutely. Absolutely he can. As Versaire says, he just got his chaos, right? Will Shipley needs chaos. You know, got to bring up Will Shipley on a Spike Week show. Will Shipley needs chaos in, you know, Saquon misses time or whatever. Tyler Algier needs it with Bijan. Guerendo, right? Name it. Tank Bigsby, whatever. Braylon Allen. These guys need some form of chaos to be a smash. Jarquez Hunter, on and on and on. He got it. Chaos doesn't have to come during the season. The chaos just came for Dylan Sampson. Can he seize that opportunity from the chaos? I don't know. None of us do. The Browns don't know. But he has that opportunity now. So he is a buy. I also did move up Jerome Ford. If you want, I'm not like head over heels about Jerome Ford because I think it's a lot lower upside swing. But I think he became a little bit more relevant now from all of this as well. Max says, happy to report I had 15% of Sampson before all of this went down. That is the move right there. I just want to double check and make sure I did it. If you want to read all, you know, I know I broke it down here, but if you want to read kind of all the details of all of that, this is the latest article up on spikeweek.com. It is free for anyone to go check out what to do with the Quinshon Judkins situation and the second round pick holdout. That is up there. Reminder, we've got a bunch of people that have joined since the beginning of the show. As you see across the bottom of your screen, we are giving away free tickets to the Drafters main event. This does not include the live chat that's currently going on right now, but after we are done here, which we are going to hop into a draft right now, the people are demanding a puppy. I'm game. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and hop on into the puppy, and then I'll explain the puppy 2. 20 seconds. Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we go live. I shouldn't say we. I go live here on Spike Week drafting some best ball teams. Today was an hour delay. Shout out StreamYard. But generally at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you leave a comment on any of these videos moving forward, you will be entered to win. Oh, geez, what did I get here? 112? All right, 110. We'll take it. If you leave a comment on any of these YouTube videos, you will be entered to win a free ticket to the Drafters $20 main event, which is a $500,000 first prize. You're probably familiar with our good friends over at Drafters. Yes, I'm engagement farming comments, but I am blessed by our friends over at Drafters to be able to give away free tickets. And so we're going to do it every single Friday morning at the end of the Friday show. I'm going to give away three tickets to the Drafters main event. And all you got to do to enter, if you comment on every video, now if you comment like a million times, you get one entry per video. You can comment as many times as you would like, but one entry per video. So if you comment on every Spike Week video here moving forward, you'll get entered every single time on every single one of those videos. And we have a lot of videos. So I will give those away on Friday mornings. Max says, I think Ford is a somewhat Miles Sanders-ish click. Not bad on certain builds if you need a running back with a floor late. Yeah. My only concern with Ford is that the floor is fake. It's a trap floor, right? You walk over it and you fall down into the basement. That's for sure my concern with Jerome Ford, because like Judkins could just come back and Ford is everything that we think. Oh yeah, I mean it's what we got to do, man. If I'm gonna give them away, I'm gonna get some benefit out of it too. I agree. There ain't no shame in my game. Let's see. Benny also says, I think you want 8% Ford. I'm going to take Puka. I'm just smashing Puka Nacua. Just an absolute ton of Puka Nacua. Drafted a really fun Puka 101 team last night in BBM that I particularly enjoyed. I pulled Puka up to the 101 and then like took all the like chalky guys that people take at the 2-3 turn and the 4-5 turn. I did the T McBride thing, but so you take out Chase, you put T and McBride at the 2-3 turn with Puka, and then I got Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith at the 4-5 turn, and I was like elated. D Ross, do you need to be in the Friday morning chat to win? No, nope, no, you do not. We will figure out how to get you your tickets. You do not have to be present to win. There's the answer. You have to comment to win. You do not have to be present to win. So if you go back and watch later and you see that you won, or if I would love to, if I have your information, I will happily reach out and contact you. But you do not have to be present to win. You do just have to comment. I would prefer you did it. I can't believe this is actually a hilarious question. Okay, hold on. Let me make a little pick here. Ooh, Puka Amon-Ra. I don't have that one yet. If you saw there, I also don't have Puka with, hilariously, I don't yet have Puka with London, which feels not great, Bob. But I also don't have Puka with Amon-Ra, so I will take that. But yeah, it still blows my mind to this day that like we have videos from 2021, but it would be preferable if you would comment on a current video. If you want to comment on something else, I'm not going to get upset about it. Dial says I wasn't going to draft a puppy too, but I love creating chaotic teams in these stream drafts. I'm with it. Dial is in the 104. Saquon Lat. You're not creating anything chaotic. Oh, Bree. Also STL, I assume. Shout out to another STL brethren. 27% Ford. His ADP is a market error to me. I respect it. I think if the market is wrong about Jerome Ford and the Browns' whole thing, you're going to feel really good. And certainly it's been a great development. The last week has been good for your Jerome Ford bags. That is for sure. Yeah, this is true. Daniel says, what do you think of Addison this year? I'm drafting a lot of him as a wide receiver 4 as his upside seems to outweigh cost of a couple of games suspension. So the interesting thing about Addison is I've long been like a little bit more bearish on him, like as a football player, definitely as a human. And how do I minimize this? Okay. Let's do JSN. We'll have to touch on Terry on a different show, but doesn't seem that the Terry contract negotiations are going particularly well either. So we'll see what kind of dip we get on him. I will probably use it to get some more Terry, some more Daniel, some more different stuff, but we know that Terry is going to fall, just like we know all these rookies are going to fall. But Addison is a guy I'm like not as overall bullish on, like I said, as like a real life football player. If you go back and look at some of those spikes from, I believe, 2 years ago, remember the one that there was like an interception, the safety like it hit off like the safety's head or bounced up or whatever, and Addison took it like 70 yards for A touchdown. Okay, I mean, now I'm going to take Terry. I'll do this. I'm happy to start this way. However, despite being like, I probably don't think Addison is as quite as good as the average like fantasy pro. It's not like he's fine. He's a good football player. I agree with you that this is a great buying opportunity. The problem is his trial for his DUI started yesterday. He pled not guilty. And once that plays out, I have no idea how long that kind of stuff takes. Shout out to me for never having had to deal with that. Many, many, many other mistakes that I've made in my life. But luckily, knock on wood, we haven't made that mistake. And he's going to fall. It doesn't seem as though he's innocent. Maybe I'm really wrong about that. But if he's guilty, he's going to get suspended and he's going to fall. So that's my only, like, I've taken some. That's my only reservation on Addison, is that I agree with you. I think the price is not just fine, it's probably good. I don't really care about the couple weeks suspension, other than I think he's a moron and probably not a great person. He really tugged at the heartstrings, by the way. His first incident that he got in trouble for speeding or reckless driving or whatever the hell it was because his dog had no dog emergency. And so that made me like, well, okay, I like this guy. He's he made a mistake. He was dumb, but at least he was doing it for his dog. And now this other stuff that keeps coming out doesn't seem so great about Addison. Nonetheless, I think he's a pretty good pick, but I also think he's going to fall in drafts. Again, assuming, if he's innocent, he's not going to fall. He'll rise probably. So if you want to make that bet, I think that's okay too. And Joe says, I bet his dog used to eat his homework too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this play, Bruce says, I remember that play by Addison so lucky. It is forever ingrained in my brain. And I don't really know why. There's certain things that always like stick out to you. Because I remember people, just some people abuse some Addison thing, some Addison, and it's not wrong. Some bull case for us. So do I take Rome now since I was just talking about that? Notably, Jawan Jennings also holding out. Sure. Let's get a Rome share. Go full blown zero running back here. Isn't there a chance his suspension is already baked in? We all knew. I would love to tell you that this was true. David says, isn't there a chance that his suspension is already baked in? I think into what his price should be, it is absolutely baked in. What happens every year, no matter what, there's very few things we know that are certainties in this best ball world. The most the singular thing I am most certain about out of all of it is I'm going to take TreVeyon, and we're going to see if we can manipulate or maneuver this this rookie thing, this chaperone stuff. The one and only thing I know with absolute certainty in best ball, because I don't know a lot, is even if it's baked in, when bad news happens, they fall. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. You're absolutely right, David, that I think it is baked in to his price, give or take. If we want to argue a couple spots, who gives a shit? But Debo should go ahead of him. Okay, fine. A couple spots of ADP, right? But that's just not how the market reacts. The market always, suspension, you fall, right? Injury, you fall. Scary shit happens, you fall. Every time, without fail. We're going. This is year 6. This is the 6th year of best ball, right? There's many years of fantasy football, but specific to best ball, this is the 6th year, and it has happened every time. Every single time it happens. It's crazy. Yeah, Y Dad says, I bet you'll also never forget this. I will be on my deathbed. And as someone who nearly won that Best Ball Mania and did not have CeeDee Lamb, the 95-yard touchdown or whatever, where the blitzing linebacker just didn't tackle Dak. He came through totally free, and then CeeDee scored a billion-yard touchdown. I'll still be complaining about that. Cost me a couple shekels, that play. Not bitter. Don't ask me if I'm mad about it or anything. Teabagging time says Addison averages around 180 points, fantasy points a season. Take away 4 games from that, and he's overpriced. Yeah, but this isn't cumulative. This isn't cumulative scoring. So as you said, all I really care about, because so hold on a second. Ooh, Pollard is a nice actual chaperone on this team. And there, that's funny. There, let's do Pollard. It's an important distinction. I think people often look at like total season points and all that kind of stuff, but what you have to remember is you don't just remove his points. You have other wide receivers, and there's no bye weeks during the times when he's suspended. So let's even say he's suspended for 4 weeks. Let's say you draft 7 wide receivers. You still have 6. You're not taking zeros during those weeks. You'll average a couple less points per game, probably. Oh boy. You know what? Let's pull up the 1 second-round pick who is signed. Jayden Higgins. I wanted some more stacking outs here because I really don't like taking Matthew Stafford. I don't really like taking Sam Darnold, and Jayden Daniels is of course gone. So I'm going to give myself outs to CJ Stroud here. Daniel says, and the opposite is true. If he is innocent, right, proven innocent in the court of law, he was going to go way up. Exactly. 100%. Bruce says, Juwan Jennings was talking yesterday because he wants a new contract. Was falling yesterday because he wants a new contract. Yes, Juwan Jennings also wants a new contract or to be traded. I think Juwan will get a new contract, but the Niners are in a very weird situation because they are strapped for cat. They went from that rookie Brock Purdy contract was quite nice and giving them a lot of opportunity to spend freely on lots of other positions, and now they're paying Brock Purdy $50 million a season, and they're paying George Kittle, and they're paying Christian McCaffrey, and they're paying Brandon Ayuk, and so the bank account ain't as flush in San Francisco anymore. So I do think Juwan will get paid, and I do not think he will get traded. But it's a little more uncertain than maybe even I'm giving it credit for. Yeah, you can always like do some maneuvering, as Benny says here. It's just it's a weird one because if you recall, Juwan was a nobody. It's very negatively hyperbolic, but nonetheless, it is true. If you would have thought that Juwan Jennings would be asking for a new contract back-to-back summers this time last year, you'd be laughing your ass off. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's a career like wide receiver 5 on the 49ers. What is he doing? But he got an extension. He got a 2-year extension last year. And so he wants it, right? He got signed for last season and for this year. And he outperformed that contract last year. And he wants an extension again or to be traded. And so I get it. I get it from his perspective. Pro player, always. But it is a little tougher of a negotiation for someone like him than the average bear. Oh, do I make this a Caleb team? Let's do a Caleb team. Very, very little Caleb. I'm absolutely just terrified of the Bears. But let's do a Caleb team. I know what I should have done there, but we'll see. We'll see if it works out for me. Curious, since I missed the show live and couldn't watch, but did you learn anything when you did the wheel draft last week in the take no wide receivers until round 7? I find myself with a hero. Or damn it, for Sarah took Dobbins. That was what I should have done. That was very stupid of me. I could have got Caleb probably to come back to me, and I should have taken Dobbins. That was dumb. These are the things that happen when you stream drafts. You make mistakes. Let's build out. I'll use Sharbs, and build out a little more Seattle stuff here because I took JSN obviously in the 3rd, and let's correlate Sharbs there. But yeah, I get it. Versaire says he had to take him. Did I learn anything in the no wide receivers until round 7? I wouldn't say I learned anything. I learned that I like taking some of the extreme builds. I much prefer the extreme 0 running back with elite quarterback, elite tight end, and elite wide receivers than I do elite running backs and elite quarterbacks and elite tight ends and volume at wide receiver. I learned that, but I knew that already. So I guess it reaffirmed that for me. I guess I wouldn't say that I learned anything other than I truly do enjoy trying out the different structures, and as firm as my beliefs are in like what the best ways to construct rosters are, I'm open to trying out different things, and I am going to try out different things across my entire portfolio. When you're going to draft, 1,500 teams, I don't want to draft weird teams that I don't necessarily like because I'm bored, and just because like, oh well, I might as well let's do one of these robust teams just like everybody else does, but doing it. So I guess this would be the lesson. When I do one of those kind of unique teams for me, 0 wide receiver, or even like a hero wide receiver, I want to build it. I want to take the structure that I don't build very often. Let's say you're a robot. You're more of an early running back bro. You're the opposite of me. You're more of an early running back person. And you decide, I want to do some 0 running back teams. Build them in the way that you would build them, not in a way that the 0 running back bro would build them, because that's the power. You're not going to have as many of them, and you're going to put a different spin on it, right? Don't just build the same robust team that everybody else does. Don't just build the same Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey McBride, right? Don't just build the same team that everybody else does. When you're building a structure that is outside of your norm and outside of your comfort zone, do it in a way that is uniquely yours and not the same as. Don't fall into line and say, well, everybody else is doing this thing, I'm going to do it too. You can draft the structure, but do it in a different way. Tucker Kraft is a smash tight end 1 on this team. Slam dunk to the podium. First tight end. Needed it. You're probably right, Bruce, but he's another overdrafted wide receiver. I got a bag of Pearsall. I got a bag of Pearsall too. I do have a bag of Juwan and Pearsall and Kittle. I got a bag of the 49ers passing game. So I don't even know if that was good or bad for me. This whole Juwan stuff. Do Chase with McBride and Marv, live a little. Even that's not like, I do like that. I'll do that sometimes, right? Do the Kyler side of it. Do the Cardinals, but even that is not like crazy different. I like Pearsall. Pearsall's my highest owned out of those San Francisco wide receivers. But I'm basically not drafting Brandon Ayuk, so that's part of it for sure. New Superflex contest is just live, says Whitehead. That's fun. I like the Superflex. Oh God. All right. How about a little Javonte? Speaking of some fucking chaperones, is there a funnier chaperone than Javonte Williams? He's either going to be the best chaperone you've ever seen in your entire life, or the no-show chaperone, and the teacher has to take a lot more responsibility on the field trip day to the zoo. I don't know what it's going to be, but pick 135. I'm willing to find out. That is for sure. D. Ross says, I got a slow with a 3 running back start. Usually I'm full RB bro in those with boring volume guys at wide receiver. But this one I'm leaning on volatile guys. Worthy, Hunter, Higgins. This is the way, man. This is the way. I totally agree with you. Ryan says the Superflex are the most fun drafts. I really enjoy them. I understand that not everybody does, but I really enjoy the Superflex contest. I think amongst the things that we're talking about here, let's see, I'm just looking. The German Shepherd, but Superflex, it is $5, 20 entry max, 10K to first place. So a little bit small, but fun nonetheless. This is it. Ryan says there's just so many different ways to get there in Superflex, and everybody builds. Load up quarterbacks early. Take 1 million quarterbacks. Nobody tries to do something very unique in the Superflex contest. Everybody just says it's Superflex. I got to draft 1 million quarterbacks, and I got to draft them all early. And it's the easiest. It's even easier than like this whole like chalk Chase, Higgins, McBride type stuff. It's even easier to manipulate what other people are doing. Doesn't mean that other people are wrong in doing that. It just means it's exploitable. And there's so many ways you could win in Superflex, but our opponents all build one way. So that's the best thing to take advantage of. It's one thing to just like build up, right? Every time somebody says, I'm going to build the most plus EV, it's like, if you're not accounting for what your opponents are doing, how can you say what's plus EV or not? All right. Well, there is Guerendo. That's a nice fall on Guerendo. Look at that. I have 13%. I have 12% total Guerendo. I don't have him with any single guy I drafted here in the first several rounds, except for Henderson. So let's do Guerendo. What's quarterback look like? God damn it. I don't really want this to be a Darnold team, guys. I got to see if we do. Let me think about this. God damn it. I knew Versaire was going to do that too. Versaire takes Dylan Sampson. So at least that alleviates my pain. I got to decide if I'm going to do Ward. I have 6% Ward. I mean, I know Darnold makes the most sense on this with Sharbs and but I'm also going to need a late tight end. And I like Ward over. Let's do Ward. I have Pollard, obviously. And I can get Chig later. I can get Io Manor later. You sound like yeah, Daniel says grab Ward, you have Pollard. You sound like Seattle's GM. I don't really love Sam Darnold. Kramer got a unique 2-team stack from the 1 spot. Chase, Higgins, Tyreek, Waddle with Burrow. And got Tua here. Nice. This is a fun team. Chuba, Swift, Mason. Love it. Don't love Cooper Kupp, but that's okay. Absolutely everything else here is killer. Love it. Bengals, Dolphins, Chuba, Swift, Mason, Najee, Tyler Warren. So an upside swing with Warren at tight end. Hell yeah. That's a fun team. Are y'all finding the slows are easier than the fast? I entered a bunch yesterday and it feels like I'm finding more ADP values. I don't know. I don't ever end up keeping track. I'm not even sure the best way to do that. We do track some stuff at Spike Week. Maybe we could look into more of that. Easier. So I think ultimately this is maybe a cop-out answer, but I also think it's the truth, is people love to like really try to see where there's all these potential edges. Fast or slow. Draft in June or July. Draft in May or August. Draft in, and like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it really doesn't. What I find slows versus fasts to be more of a life EV thing than a functional EV. I never wanted to become a slow draft bro. It makes me sick to my stomach, ultimately, that I have become a slow draft bro. But it's the only way for me to get all the volume that I want to get into while maintaining my sanity. And I'm not even sure that I'm technically maintaining my sanity in this situation. I'm gonna wait on tight end. Maybe. Fucking hell. Let's just do Hunter right away. I know it's early, but I don't trust Versaire at the turn here behind me. Pack Fan says, don't do 101 slows at once. Life equals hell. I'm always in more than 100 slow drafts. Now, that's across 3 sites. Between Underdog, DraftKings, and Drafters, I'm always in. So that's why it is hell. It is, one of my buddies was texting me yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about like just how he can't stand slow drafts and it makes him more stressed than the fast draft. It's like a learning process, like not learning about like the drafts, but like learning about yourself and how you handle the slow drafts. You have to get into a rhythm and you have to try to make sure you maintain your sanity. I do, like I said, a lot of slow drafts because it's my way to get all my volume in. I'm going to go ahead and just take Chig now, because I kind of need him on this team. I'm going to take 3 tight ends on this team, and then obviously the stack with Ward is really helpful. Yeah, no doubt. Pack Fan says, I'm not home by a computer for 12 hours out of the day. It makes it much harder. 100%. Obviously, I am. I am freely available to do slow drafts. If you aren't, right, it's just not possible. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do another draft this morning. It is it's a hectic day here in the Beimfohr residence. We got a bunch of different things I got to get done, and celebrating both my sister and my niece. They're born within 4 days of each other, and we're celebrating their birthdays tonight. And so I have a bunch of things I have to get done. That's why I was hoping to do multiple drafts and start an hour earlier. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get multiple drafts in tomorrow, multiple drafts in on Friday. Nolan says, I treat slow drafts as modified auto drafting, good construction, but just top of ADP. That's fair. I like the slow drafts because I can do a lot of the things that I really want to do and be thoughtful about them, and like get in the zone and batch picks I do it in the morning when I wake up. It's legitimately the first thing that I do every morning. Get some caffeine, start ripping slow draft picks. And then at some point in the afternoon, usually when I hit my like post-lunch lull, and it's I'm not at peak performance, 2:30 or something like that, I'll make a bunch more slow draft picks, and then before bed, it's my zone out, make a bunch of slow picks, and then go to bed is my general process. Yeah, we took the niece we were going to go to the Cardinal game on Sunday, but we had really bad weather here. It was a 1:00 game, and it didn't finish until very, very late into the evening. So we skipped the game and we went to the arcade. Essentially, like it's not Dave & Buster's, but we essentially went to like a local Dave & Buster's, and she had a ball, but that was just with me. And so we're celebrating the whole fam this evening. Okay, 17th. I already know who I would like here. Is he gone? Harold Fannin time. We're going to do Harold Fannin. I think I'm trying to decide if this is 7 running backs or 7 wide receivers. Puka, Amon-Ra, JSN, Terry, Rome, Higgins. I think we stick this to 6 wide receivers, and given the running back stuff we've talked about, let's add a running back to this room. Caleb is stacked. Ward is stacked. Got some upside mixed in here at tight end. I like the wide receivers. I mean, I started with 5 straight wide receivers, so I think it's probably wise to turn this into 7 running backs. And I could certainly use it. Let's do Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell or Taj. Let's do Keaton. I'm trying to get a little bit more Keaton. What I'm trying to do with some of my late round picks is think about guys that the royal the fantasy football market, the best ball market, whatever we want to call it, we're like kind of into last year, and maybe we're just a year early. Jermaine Burton, Jordan Whittington were a couple guys we have talked about. You could technically, I guess, classify, though. We talked about very briefly Roman Wilson earlier today. I haven't got there yet. Luke McCaffrey, right? These Troy Franklin, these guys that we were like varying levels of excited about these guys last year, at least as late round picks. But it was probably just not. It was not last year. It wasn't. We weren't ready last year. We've talked about Burton and Whittington and some of those guys. And Sinnott, T-Bag Tank says Sinnott. That's another good one. Like, we were a year early on those guys. And Keaton Mitchell feels a lot like that to me. He was coming off a very serious knee injury. We didn't know if he was even going to play last year. Certainly didn't know if he was going to be healthy. Derrick Henry's a year older. I think that, like, he's probably going to play Keaton Mitchell. And if something were to happen to Derrick Henry, he's definitely not going to take over the full backfield, but I mean, who the hell wouldn't love to have Keaton Mitchell if something happens to Derrick Henry? This is a bridge too far, Jonathan. Javon Baker, Tez Walker. I mean, like, Tez is like popping in camp as well. I'm not saying to draft Tez Walker, but I'm saying, like, look at that cohort of players and how they're showing well in camp. They're healthy now. They probably have a bigger role. Like, a lot of those guys look kind of good as picks now, but we've written them off because we chased them last year and it didn't work. I want to think about those guys in the late rounds. Is Justice Hill undraftable now? No. I just don't really like him on Underdog. I think Justice Hill is actually a pretty solid PPR pick, but he's really only PPR viable because he'll grow also if something happens to Derrick Henry, and he's the third down back, the pass catching back there. He's going to play like week 1. Justice Hill's going to play. It's just if Derrick Henry, he doesn't have the, like, Jarquez Hunter. I know Blake Corman's there, but just let me have this one. Kyron goes down, Jarquez Hunter is like a smash, right? Bijan goes down, Algier is just like a smash. Justice Hill doesn't quite have that in his range, but I still think he's viable. Chris says, well, when you catch up, Chris, yes. The answer is yes. He says behind, but you're saying 20%. Dylan Sampson in the 18th on Underdog might be okay. It is more than okay, sir. It is probably... not to toot my own horn, but the best picks that you could have made in the late rounds up until now were Dylan Sampson and Will Shipley, in my opinion. De'Ami Brown probably there too in terms of these huge risers. And Dylan Sampson, if you had 20%, I love it. Hill is a formidable chaperone Hill's a formidable chaperone at running back for sure, and he can have a couple spike weeks in half PPR. Wilby says, I agree. I don't think he's bad. I just much prefer him in PPR, right? If that makes sense. All right, let's run down this team, get out of here, and make sure, of course, to hit the like button also. And if you could drop a comment if you so choose to be entered into the Drafters main event ticket giveaway on Friday morning. I drafted from the 110. I took my guy Puka Nacua, who's slowly becoming my highest owned first round pick. It's going to be between him and CD. We will find out who gets there. Amon-Ra falls back to the second round. I don't take a lot of Amon-Ra, but Puka, Amon-Ra, I will take that combination. JSN and Terry, another combination I will take given the Terry fall. He's holding out. There's concerns, but I'm just going to take the fall a little bit here on Terry. Rome, I don't draft a ton of. TreVeyon Henderson. So we tried to see if we can chaperone this TreVeyon second round pick issue that we talked about for the first part of the show. Tony Pollard seems like a pretty good chaperone for that. Jayden Higgins, the 1 second round pick who is fine. He's signed. No issues with Jayden Higgins. Caleb Williams to go with Rome. Should have taken J.K. Dobbins. That was very, very stupid of me to take Caleb Williams over J.K. Dobbins. I'm tilting it again here. So we took Zach Charbonnet, Tucker Kraft, Javonte Williams, and Isaac Guerendo. I do like it. I like this. I like this room. Cam Ward could have taken Sam Darnold. I'm not super into Sam Darnold, so I need to get my Cam Ward up a little bit here. Anyway, Jarquez Hunter, Chig Okonkwo, Harold Fannin, of course, not a second round pick. Thank God the Browns took Harold Fannin in the 3rd round, so he's good. He'll be at camp. And Keaton Mitchell, who we just talked about. Thank you guys for joining. Is every comment eligible, Toby? Yep. Nothing, absolutely nothing specific. Just drop a comment. Did you like the video? Do you like Quinshon Judkins? Are you buying the dip on RJ Harvey? What are you doing with Luther Burden? If you want to drop a comment, please. You'll be entered. It's up to you. Whatever tickles your fancy. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody enjoy your Wednesday. I will see you guys tomorrow, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back at 10 a.m. Eastern time now that I figured out this damn StreamYard thing. And I'll catch you guys the next couple of days. Enjoy hump day and draft some best ball teams. And good luck figuring out Quinshon Judkins and the second round rookies. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.